Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Gualtieri. I'm the sheriff in Pinellas County and chair of the FSA Legislative Committee. So illegal immigration is a problem. It's not only a federal problem, it's a problem for all of us. It's a problem for every village, every town, every city, every county, and every state in America. It's a problem for a number of reasons, but at the forefront is the problem of criminal illegals. Those in our country who wreak havoc in our communities, those who victimize our citizens by peddling their dope, stealing, molesting kids, and killing people. This is wrong. It's not okay. And there are some people out there, and we understand this, who espouse empathy for some people in our country illegally because of decades of failed federal immigration policies. Those are people who have been here for years, albeit illegally, who have assimilated into our communities, work in some cases, and in some cases even pay taxes, and those people commit no crimes. And there is room for discussion about that. But there is no room for discussion about those who are in this country illegally, who are victimizing our citizens, who are committing crimes, who are disobeying our laws. There's no room for discussion about that, and these people need to go, and they need to go today. There's also no room for discussion about the people who come here illegally, go through the immigration process. A judge orders them deported. They are deported, and then they come back again illegally, like the illegal who twice came back, who killed one of our deputies in September of 2022. That guy, as I said, was twice previously deported back to Honduras. He came back a third time illegally through Eagle Pass, Texas, and he killed Pinellas County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Hartwig. There's also no room for discussion about the 1.4 million people in our country today with active, final deportation orders issued by a judge who also issued a warrant for their removal, and these people simply flick their finger at the court and they haven't left. What I say to that is just no. This is not okay. From everything we have heard, seen, and been a part of with the federal government, their priority is apprehending and deporting as quickly as possible those who are criminal illegals, public safety threats, national security threats, those who have been previously deported and come back again, like Deputy Hartwig's killer, and those who are ignoring a judge's order to leave after they had their day in court. There's a number of ways that sheriffs and other local law enforcement agencies can help ICE, and we should help ICE, because ICE does not have the resources to do it alone. And it's our constituents, the people who elected us, to keep them safe, who are being victimized by these criminal illegals. Now, sheriffs work closely with ICE now, and according to ICE, the most pressing need they have is for us to deliver to them people who are booked into our jails, who are clearly illegals and have clearly committed crimes, so that these people are deported and not released back into the community to yet commit more crime. We do that, as Sheriff Hamel mentioned, by honoring the immigration detainer requests and the accompanying warrant. Now, I have an example of those up here to the board to the left, and one of them is the detainer itself, which is the request, and the warrant is what gives us the authority, the legal authority to hold these people. And we're working with ICE to honor these immigration detainer requests, and we have going back to 2017. But back in 2017, we ran into a problem, and there was a legal problem. But we worked with then ICE Director Tom Homan, and we came up with a legal solution where our deputies in the jails across Florida would be deputized under 287G to serve these ICE arrest warrants that go with the detainers. We were able to implement this in some of Florida's county jails before President Trump left office the first time, but not in all counties. And when the Biden administration came in, they gutted the program. They stopped the deputizations. During the first Trump administration, I'll give you an example just for the Pinellas County Jail, we were averaging about 400 detainers a year. In the first year of the Biden administration, we got 14. We currently have about 150 people in the Pinellas County Jail. And remember, there are 66 other jails in Florida of people who are charged with crimes, who are in the country illegally, and for whom we have received ICE detainers. Now, 6 of these people, and I'm going to go through these people that we have up here on the boards. The first one is they're currently in the Pinellas County Jail, been charged with state crimes, here illegally. The first one is Gennaro Pena. He's illegally here from Mexico. We arrested him in Pinellas County on a charge of burglary to an occupied structure. Now, think about this. He's here illegally from Mexico. He's breaking into people's homes. And here in Florida, okay, his criminal history is aggravated battery, trespassing, resisting a law enforcement officer, 2 additional previous burglary charges, brawling, possession of crack cocaine, petty theft, and criminal mischief. The next one is Samuel Pedraza Garcia. He's also here illegally from Mexico, and we arrested him on 20 counts of viewing and possessing child pornography. The next one is Moises Israel Sanchez Hernandez. He's illegally here from El Salvador. We arrested him on a charge of lewd and lascivious molestation of a child under 12 years old. This child molester has a Florida criminal arrest record for domestic violence, possession of cocaine, forgery, hit and run with injuries, attempted purchase of cocaine, and a probation violation. The next one is Jamie Moran, illegally here from Mexico. He was arrested in our county for lewd and lascivious molestation and sexual battery of a child under 12 years old. To put this one in simple terms, this illegal alien from Mexico raped a kid under 12 years old. That's not okay. His arrest record, on top of this, raping a kid under 12, is for larceny, theft, domestic battery, soliciting for prostitution, and domestic battery. The next one, Ederildo Lopez Rojas, who is illegally here from Cuba, and he was drunk and killed someone in our county. He's charged with DUI manslaughter, DUI causing serious bodily injury, and resisting arrest. And last but not least, we have Aner Javier Maldonado from Honduras. This illegal alien raped a physically helpless person and committed numerous acts of lewd and lascivious molestation on a child. The formal charges are sexual battery of a physically helpless person and multiple counts of lewd and lascivious molestation on a child between 12 and 16 years old. His criminal history includes possession and purchase of cocaine, robbery, aggravated battery causing bodily harm, re-entry of a deported alien and being found in the U.S. after but not being denied. So he's one of those guys that was previously through the system, got booted, and now he comes back here and is raping somebody between 12 and 16 years old. And some people say that illegal immigration is not a problem. Really? Look at these. So for 4 years under the Biden administration, no Florida County Jail personnel were trained or deputized by ICE, and huge numbers of criminal illegals, like these killers and child rapists, were released back into our communities. When President Trump took office a month ago and ICE ramped up the detainer process, 26 of Florida's 67 county jails were unable to honor the immigration detainers that would keep people like this in custody because there was no 287G personnel trained and deputized who could make these immigration arrests because Biden gutted it. On day one of the Trump administration, just over 30 days ago, we immediately began moving forward to get 287G agreements signed with all remaining 26 county jails that, again, had been stymied under the Biden administration, including some big ones. Miami-Dade, Orange, Hillsborough. We've been working hard on this over the last couple of weeks. And as was said, today we announced that we have signed agreements in all 67 county jails in Florida. Now, I want to thank Senate President Ben Albritton, House Speaker Danny Perez, and Governor Ron DeSantis for their full court press on immigration, and the immigration bills that they recently made law in Florida are good policy and good for public safety in Florida. The governor, the Senate President, the Speaker are out front on this very important issue, and Florida is leading the nation. While the Governor, Speaker, and President have set the course, I also want to recognize and thank the staff behind the scenes in the Senate President's office, the Speaker's office, and the Governor's office, especially their respective chiefs of staff and lawyers who worked tirelessly over the last few weeks to ensure Florida has the best possible legislation at the moment. Many thanks to those people behind the scenes who really got the job done. Now, one important requirement in the new state law is that all 67 counties must have 287G personnel and honor the immigration detainers. Implementing the process under which all jails will be able to hold these criminal illegals is well underway, and we hope to have it fully operational within the next 15 to 30 days. This is a big deal because it means criminals like these, people who kill people who steal, people who break into people's houses, people who rape kids, will be deported directly from jail and not released back to the street where ICE, or us helping ICE, have to go and track them down. It just makes sense from the jail out of here as opposed to the jail back to the street. This is another big change from the Biden era when these criminal illegals, because back then in the Biden era, during the Biden administration, when they were arrested, we couldn't turn them back over to ICE or turn them over to ICE because under the Biden administration, he required that they be convicted before they could be deported. That's ridiculous. So people like these would bond out of jail, stay in Florida because they had to be convicted, then do their time, then they would be deported. No more. Now it's jail to deportation. These 287G straight task forces that Sheriff Pramell mentioned, they're very important, and we're glad to participate. But according to ICE, plugging the hole in these jails that are not now honoring these detainers is the priority because it keeps clearly bad people from getting back on the street where then ICE has to go expend resources and we have to help them go find these people. It's also safer for the ICE officers to take these people into custody from the jail. The street task forces have not existed in 12 years because they were killed under the Obama administration. December 31st of 2012 is the last time there were street task forces in the United States. And 12 years of local law enforcement not being able to help ICE make these arrests has had an impact, and not a good one. People ask why so many Americans have died over that time from fentanyl overdoses. Here in Florida, in 2022, there were 6,230 people who died from fentanyl overdoses. Where's the fentanyl coming from? Across the border, peddled by these people. It is because that's what happens when there's a porous border, illegal alien drug traffickers run amok, and a strapped immigration agency can't get help from local law enforcement to deport these people peddling their poison. Another problem is ICE bed space. Sheriffs, all of us, are looking hard to see what we can do to create capacity in our jails to help ICE with bed space. ICE right now only has 2,000 beds in the state of Florida, and they're full. With the jail detainer program coming online in big counties like Miami-Dade, Orange, and Hillsborough, beds are going to be an issue, but that cannot get in the way of getting these criminal illegals out of our state and out of our country. The Florida Sheriffs look forward to working with our federal partners to do what Florida citizens elected us to do, and that is to keep them safe, and we're going to do that. And I'll turn it over to Sheriff Judd.
The priority is, as clearly pointed out, is the criminal illegal alien that's here committing crime. That's the number one priority. The second priority is certainly those that have deportation orders. That will fill up the capacity. But if you're here illegally and you're worried, and it's easier to go home than it is to worry every day, you're welcome to leave the country on your own volition. They are not our priority. If you're here working, you have your kids in school, you're paying your taxes, you're not the priority. It's the criminals. It's the people. This is our priority. The ones that have already been through the federal system and have simply told the federal government, we're not going home. Not only did we disobey the law by entering this country illegally, we're going to disobey the law by staying here. And we arrested a lady that was turned out to be a victim of human trafficking. She hooked up with a human trafficker and said, I want to go to the United States, but I don't have any money. He said, don't worry about it. I'll get you. Where do you want to go? He's Miami. I'll get you to Miami. So he walks her up to the border under the Biden administration. And he said, now walk right across the border here and get on that bus, and they'll take you to a receiving facility. And she did that with her child. She said, I arrived at the facility. They did a DNA swab on me and my daughter to make sure it was my daughter, and then took us to a processing room, filled out some paperwork, told me, and here's your form to fill out for your free food stamps, your EBT card, and here's the form to fill out so your daughter can get free insurance. And where is it you want to go? She said, Miami. Here's your voucher so you can travel to Miami for free. And then she said, so if you'll go here, you'll stay overnight, and then we'll put you on an airplane and let you go there. And oh, by the way, welcome to the United States of America. That's not our story, it's hers. So then she flies to Miami, where she's turned over to another human trafficker because the human trafficker in Mexico is working. And she says, well, where do I work in order to pay back? He says, oh, you're going to prostitute. She says, I thought I was going to work. He said, oh, you are. And that's how we found her and how we rescued her. She thought she was going to come here and work in the fields, work in a restaurant, work in a grocery store. They put her out prostituting herself. That's what's going on. And if you think the person that human traffics this lady belongs in this country, you need a psychiatric appointment. They're victimizing a lot of the illegal aliens that are in this country. And we don't know about it because they're afraid to tell us. We want, whether you're legal or not legal, and you're being victimized, we need to know about that. But at the end of the day, look, our capacity, the federal government's capacity is going to be wore out by just dealing with the illegals here committing crime and those with deportation orders. So everyone else can take it easy. They're not the priority. They're not the focus here. But at the end of the day, how did we get here? Sheriff Gualtieri said it very eloquently. Failed federal policy. An administration in the last 4 years that allowed them to pour over by the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Obviously, they really didn't care about them either by putting them in this country under those circumstances. But they certainly didn't care about the people in this country when we killed, in this country, 250,000, 300,000 people with fentanyl that came across the southern border. Meth comes across the southern border by the metric ton. They're sending victims of human trafficking across the border. And we have all of the sheriffs here, local law enforcement has been saying for a long time, there's a problem here. And the rules are so onerous with ICE. It's not the ICE folks that's trying to make it work. It's the administration that pushes these onerous ICE rules to where we can't help the federal government in the past. And what help we tried to give them was resisted because of the rules. The game has changed. And our governor in this state says every government agent in the state of Florida is going to cooperate to keep Florida safe, to create a national model. And that's supported by our Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate. We have a mission, and these sheriffs and their teams at home know how to accomplish missions. Give us the tools, change the rules. We'll keep the federal government busy doing what they should have been doing all along.
Can you go into?
And here's what's happened. This is all it took under the Biden administration to get across the border, is to just walk across the border. Or you could run across the border. Or you could skip across the border. Well, now they need to turn around and go the other way. If they self-deport, then they won't end up in a jail and a lockup through the system. But it's time to go the other way. And that's important. As we've said before, this is all about what we want you to do and to understand it's southbound and down. It's time to leave the country. You can leave by yourself or you can leave in handcuffs. But we're tired of people such as Sheriff Gualtieri's pointed out here that are in this country illegally raping, robbing, murdering, pillaging, and stealing and have multiple arrests. How did they get to the second arrest? Why weren't they deported after the first one? Because the federal government thinks more of the illegal alien in this country that's victimizing the good people than they thought of the good people. President Trump says it's a new day. Governor DeSantis says it's a new day. Governor DeSantis and our president, Ben Albritton, and our speaker, Danny Perez, says we're going to not only lead the state in keeping the people of the state of Florida safe, but we're going to lead the nation and show them how. With that, any of the sheriffs will take questions from y'all.